perfection. Human perfection. Human perfection.
Good evening and welcome to another fantastic episode of QTV. I'm Michael James.
I'm Kate Mackey.
And I'm Matthew Bowe.
Now this week we are joined by our very special guests. We have Scott Brown and Phil Bennett from Queensland Positive People, and they're here to chat to us about some of the work that they do. But first off, good evening everybody. How are we?
Good.
Very good.
Yes, have we had a marvellous week?
Busy week, yeah.
Busy too. How about you, Michael?
I've had a wonderful week. As you can see, I've got pink hair tonight.
Yay!
It's exciting. Yay! I'm working in schools at the moment. It was a sports day, so I wanted to get into the theme of things. So, you know.
Even red shoes.
And red shoes as well. It was part of the whole outfit for the day. So, you know, very, very exciting.
Did your house team win?
It was interesting. It was one of those sports days where nobody wins. It's just all about enjoying the day.
Oh, I love that.
What's the point of that?
I don't know. They like it. The little kids. It was a junior sports day. They don't put too much pressure on them. So it was nice. It was
good
lovely.
to win things.
Yeah. Well, in amongst doing that, I like to go and read up on my news, as we all have. Yes. So the first thing that caught my eye this week was to do with schools, funnily enough, was the new sexual education curriculum that they are trying to get ready down it started in New South Wales, where they are reforming it to do the national curriculum, and it's come about that basically the plan they've got is not good enough. Have you guys read much about it?
Oh, just a bit.
Yeah, definitely a little bit about the way they're rewording and taking out a lot of the information regarding sexual health and things like that. Definitely it's been stated that there's a big emphasis that's been put on the physical health and sports and things like that, but very little to do with personal or social community type health related topics.
Yeah, and a big thing that was noted by the gay rights lobby in New South Wales was that in the first draft they had specific reference to homophobia and homophobic bullying, and that was actually taken out in the next draft that they put through. So they're actually not focusing on the GLBTIQ youth, which is really quite distressing.
And it's kind of said what they're presenting there. Schools are really going to be able to almost interpret and omit things at their will, you know, which shows they could sort of bow under parental pressure to not discuss certain topics. And
so they're actually promoting abstinence, weren't they, rather than condom use?
Yeah, definitely. That's
ridiculous.
one thing that has been mentioned for sure. So just
It's a bit of a worry. You see schools as a sort of a place where it's a scientific environment where we have to be teaching things that are facts, not opinions, and abstinence it's not realistic, not for a whole class, and the consequences of not teaching sensible, safe practices are life-threatening, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen cases where schools and teachers have discriminated against students before. There's been surveys that came out last year about children's experiences in schools when they came out, where students have said that they were actually bullied by their teachers, and kids in Catholic schools that they've come out and said, well, the school actually gave them a don't ask, don't tell policy, and wanting to keep their sexuality, repressed. So it's very alarming. They should have an entire specific set of education in there that deals with same-sex attracted teens, so they know what's going on, they know what to do, and
Well, they're spending a lot of money on it as well, and if we don't get a chance to have our input now, it's going to be several years before we get another chance to do that, so I think it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, another topic that has raised eyebrows this week was the Christian Democratic Party, who has, of course, enough said, they have put out what has been described as sort of an anti-equality style advertisement. Now they're blaming the LGBT community for income inequality. They've actually made claims which, upon request, no one could actually come forth and release where they'd gotten their facts from, but they're saying that same-sex couples are getting on average 29% more income than the mums and dad couples, who are the most oppressed taxpayers in Australia. So what do you guys think of that one?
It's just really, how does that relate to anything political? If someone else is earning more than you, that has nothing to do with your life or politics.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Oh, it's insane. He's taken to Facebook with it, and that's where all this came up. He's got these he's doing these Facebook memes, and this is Fred Niles, who I've seen him. He looks like he's in his 80s. Like, the man's got one foot in the grave, but he's going for Facebook to get this stuff out there. And it's these outrageous propaganda pictures with it doing the big stats. 29% of same-sex people earn more than heterosexual people.
I saw one comment that was like, well, you know, if we were allowed the same rights for parenting and so forth, you would suddenly probably see a 29% income drop among same-sex couples as well.
Well, like you said, people are going to be focusing more on their career if they don't have children. It's just a completely different way of life, isn't it?
Well, being gay is not a choice, but getting married is. So,
That's exactly right.
And I guess that it's the Christian Democratic Party is neither Christian nor democratic nor a party. So anyway, we're also in the news a lot lately has been the rapid HIV testing, which I guess you guys will be well aware of, and we'll touch on that later. But we've been having fantastic outcomes from it. Basically, from the old way was that you had a blood test, you had to wait a week. You know, it's a very stressful time in the meantime, trying to figure out what's going on, the urgent wait, missed calls, trying to get another appointment with the doctor. But a new means of testing, which is sort of a rapid test, has been being used in more and more places. So it's a simple drop of blood with a finger prick, and it takes, I think, 30 minutes to get the results. And some Melbourne clinics have been running them. They've said that they've done about 270 tests in the last 5 months. They've had about 8 positive, and they've had no false negatives, which is fantastic. But for people who aren't likely to go through the whole rigmarole of making an appointment and coming back for blood test results on the spot, isn't that fantastic?
Yeah,
That's
it's
great.
great. I love it. I mean, and you guys would know more. Do you think that's really going to make people want to go and get tested more, knowing that they can get the results back in 20 minutes?
Well, hopefully it will. I mean, one of the benefits of rapid testing is that it is quicker, so they receive the results in 20 minutes, and it also obviously reduces the anxiety of having to wait the week for getting a results, and it just the convenience of having the on-the-spot test results as well. And it's obviously a bit more convenient in the cost factor as well, because you don't have to pay for the doctor's appointment and actually going to get it, because at the moment it's available at sexual health clinics in Queensland, so it is free for people.
I think it's more about, you know, the fact that from the time of infection to the time of diagnosis is usually between 4.5 years, something like that.
Wow.
And so, you know, what's going on in that time. So if you're able to treat quickly and if you're able to test quickly, then you know where you are, you're able to protect yourself, protect your partners, and take steps to look after your health. So I think it's a good thing for people too.
Yeah, fantastic. I can't wait to talk more about this after the break.
Yes, that is exactly the sort of stuff we have the two of you here to talk to us about. So after this very short break, we're coming back to find all about rapid HIV testing and the services that Queensland Positive People are offering to people living with HIV. In the meantime, make sure you jump on the interwebs. We are live tweeting while you are watching this episode. You can tweet us at QTV Brisbane or jump on our Facebook page. If you have any articles or stories you'd like us to discuss, make sure you shoot us an email to qtv@31.com.au, and we'll be back with Queensland Positive People right after this break.
Welcome back to QTV, where we're here on the couch with Scott and Phil from QPP. So, Scott, you're the team leader for Community HIV Education and Prevention, and Phil, you're one of the QPP board members.
That's right.
So, could you tell us a little more about QPP and how long you've been going for?
Well, QPP has been an organisation that was part of the old AIDS Council. So way back in the 80s it formed, and when the epidemic started as a community response. In the late 90s there was an incorporation, so QPP had to split away from the AIDS Council because of funding from the government, and they became incorporated as their own entity, which was a wonderful thing to do, because it actually encouraged positive people to actually have their own force and not be part of another program. So that was instigated by a positive woman, with the first positive president for QPP, and from there it's just moved on from strength to strength, and I think we're one of the most dynamic organisations in Australia at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the board that we have. We've got a completely diverse range of people. We have Indigenous women, culturally linguistically diverse, all sorts of people, straight, gay, everybody. So I think every sort of minority group is actually represented on that board, and we're sort of happy to have big, robust conversations and discussions with each other. So it's great.
What I've heard from about QPP that I find interesting as well is that people have often viewed HIV as a death sentence. And I find that what you guys do is also working on assisting people living with HIV, because HIV is now regarded more as a lifelong manageable disease. Is that correct?
It's a chronic manageable disease.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been living with HIV since 1989, and I'm still, I've just gone back to university. I'm fully involved in community. There's no reason why it should be a death sentence. However, when you first get diagnosed, there's a lot of issues you have to deal with, and that's what we want to provide is a contact point for people to make connections and get the information that's relevant to them.
And Scott, what are some of the things that you guys are currently working on at the moment?
Well, QPP's just recently been funded to do education and prevention work. That's funded by the Ministerial Advisory Committee. So our key points are really around promoting rapid testing and as well as PEP and treatment as prevention, which we're talking about tonight. And as well as that, we also have a strong peer support program for people who, Jesse is our peer support officer, so he runs newly diagnosed groups and as well as social events and things. And as well as we also have an advocacy officer, if people have been discriminated against or any kind of have immigration issues or housing and that sort of thing, and also a treatments officer for people who have treatment questions.
Tell me about the rapid testing. So you said that you're running a process around rapid testing at the moment in Queensland.
Yeah, well, rapid testing was just approved for use in Australia in December of last year, and it's been running in Queensland sexual health clinics since the beginning of June. As well as that, it's also testing point at Healthy Communities. They have a walk-in service on Tuesday nights, and it's basically it just requires a small drop of blood from the fingertip, which really simplifies the process, as we were talking about earlier. It's much more convenient and it's much quicker now, so the results are given to you in 20 minutes.
And it's free as well?
It is free,
And
yes.
you don't have to do anything particular to be eligible for rapid testing? You just turn up and say...
Yep, you just turn up and say that you want a rapid test, yep.
And that's, sorry to interrupt you, that's obviously for men and women, or is it?
It's available for everybody, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Great.
It's at sexual health clinics, and then the government have also committed to a rollout up to World AIDS Day this year. So they have said that it will take place in community setting, and QPP is kind of looking into our options at the moment as to the role that we will play in that, and our options of actually setting up a clinic ourselves.
So now another thing that was mentioned was PEP. Now,
Yes.
tell me more about what PEP is. And
People that don't know, because I'm...
I don't know too much about it.
PEP stands for post-exposure prophylaxis, and what that basically means is that there is the opportunity, if you go to an accident and emergency, or you go to your HIV prescribing doctor, within 72 hours, if you've had a risk experience. So if you've slept with somebody and a condom is broken, or you think you've done something that you shouldn't have because you were out of it, or whatever, you've made a choice that you didn't want to, then you have a chance within 72 hours to go to accident and emergency, and they'll give you 1 month course of HIV pills. So you take those, and that actually reduces your chances of becoming infected with the virus. However, I wouldn't sort of recommend it. It can be pretty full on, as
Does it have
Scott will
side
say.
effects?
Yeah, you were mentioning before we went to air.
Side
about-
effects, yes. Well, the side effects from HIV pills, they're basically, it's almost like a type of chemotherapy, but they're very, very strong, and they work right into the body and past the reserves in your brain, so they get to every part of you. I just remember when I started them, I was extremely sick, so I had nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach upsets, rashes, all sorts, and people think that, there's a pill now, you can take that and everything will be okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to be doing this, it puts your body under stress, and if you've got HIV, you're more at risk of getting other STIs, and if you've got an STI, you're more likely to catch HIV. So there's another reason to look after yourself, and it's not just up to me. As a positive person, it's not just up to me to protect myself, but to protect other people, So it's a shared responsibility, and I think that's the message out there. I mean, HIV doesn't discriminate, people do, and you can't tell what people with HIV look like. So,
I think as
look
well, one of
after
the biggest
yourselves.
issues we have with PEP is that people don't actually know that it exists. So it's just making people aware of it and knowing that there are actually options there if there is a risk exposure.
So for people that go to seek out Queensland Positive People, QPP, I'm guessing there are a number of services there. What's what's the confidentiality like for someone that, say, went to seek out some of your services and they might still not have revealed to friends and family about their HIV status?
Well, I mean, confidentiality is obviously of the utmost importance to QPP.
Yeah.
So, anyone who comes in can, is assured of, confidentiality and being provided with a non-judgmental service. And
so I guess a lot of people that maybe are new, they're not sure where to seek out advice.
Yeah, and I guess that's the importance of having the peer support program there, is that
that sounds great.
That probably would be the initial engagement with QPP, is that they would come in and they would speak to Jess.
And all the people that work there have had a lived experience of working with HIV, and they've experienced discrimination or have friends who've experienced discrimination, so they know what that's like. I'm part of the Speakers Bureau, the QPSB, which is Queensland Positive Speakers Bureau, so I actually go out and speak to schools and to doctors who are training and things like that, and the thing we hear all the time is about people's confidentiality being broken, and a lot of the times that's in hospitals. So confidentiality is really important
so it's
for us.
a really safe group.
Yep, absolutely.
Could talk
They can
about
get more information about where to go and visit you guys from your website.
Yep, www.qpp.org.au.
Fantastic. We're going to do our
.net.au.
.net.au.
we're going to do our quick six with you guys
Yes.
later on in the show.
Sure.
Yes. But for now, we'll take another quick break, and we will be back with a bit of what's on and what's happening, and of course the quick six with Scott and Phil.
Welcome back to QTV, and we're here with Phil and Scott from Queensland Positive People. Thank you for joining us again. We wanted to talk about what's happening on the weekend. We've got a few things coming up, but first of all we have the National Rally for Marriage Equality.
Yeah,
it's coming up on Saturday.
They give it funny names.
Yeah.
It's the National Day of Action
National
is
Day
the
of Action.
official title,
Yeah.
which is the Marriage Equality Rally.
Yeah.
So they had the Working Bee, I think, last weekend, and there was some pictures being posted on Facebook of the
and they were
Working Bee to
raising
make
money
the
as well.
placards and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, and so it happens tomorrow. So get yourself down. It should be at Queen's Park at 1 o'clock in the city again, but you can jump online and find all the details. Equal Love Brisbane, they've got everything there. So there'll be lots of fantastic people to get around and talk.
I can't make it this time because I'm working, but I have been a couple of times before, and it's actually really amazing the support that you get on the streets from the bystanders as
it's
well.
great. Everyone stops and cheers.
Yeah,
and
it's really
empowering.
quite uplifting. Yeah, I remember marching down and my friends were there with their little bub in the pram, and so it's a nice way to get out with your friends and have them support. But yeah, everyone, the buses were tooting, it was great.
Yeah. Speaking of rallies, we mentioned last week Brisbane Pride Festival is coming up again.
Yes.
They've got a few different things that are coming up. But have you guys seen what has been going on with the funding for the Brisbane Pride Festival Fair Day that has happened? So Vicky Howard took the proposal for the Brisbane City Council to fund Fair Day to the Chambers to say, look, we need to get the money.
Yep.
And they said yes.
Yes.
Which is the first time ever Brisbane City Council is actually officially funding the day now. We don't know how much. It could be $10, it could be $10,000, but they've gone into the official pool of fairs that will get money.
Which is great.
Yeah, it's great. But some arsehat has decided that he wants to protest it. So there's actually a petition up now on the Brisbane City Council website using their e-petition section to try and get council to stop funding Fair Day.
And wasn't there also a counter petition to encourage them to support Fair Day?
Yeah, so now we started one. So it's like a competition. They both end around the 31st of August, and it's see who can get the most votes of the people that want to keep it funded and the people that don't want it to be funded.
Maybe we'll have to try and get the link to the Keep the Funding petition and pop it on our
Yeah, you
Facebook
just search
page
on the Brisbane City Council website and the e-petition section and just keep funding for Fair Day or something, and it'll show up
Yeah,
there.
because that's a great day. I mean, obviously we'll have the big Fair Day party, but usually the rally in the morning. So
Yes. It's gonna be so
speaking of
good.
rallies, I think we need to look at your hair.
Oh, yes. My hair's a minority party tonight. There's not many people
on its own.
with pink hair. Yes. But there's some people in the UK, this was just too funny not to talk about, was they held a ginger pride rally in the UK.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bangers.
It was, and they had the best slogan I heard was, all hail the red and pale.
Yes.
And what was it? They riffed on the "It Gets Better," doesn't it? And said, "Oh, it gets redder."
Yeah.
So it's almost
There was
relevant.
like a couple of hundred of them or something marching down the streets of the UK. And they were led by some ginger comedian. Who
Sean Hitchens, a Canadian comic, and it was through the Edinburgh City Centre to demonstrate against gingerism.
It's an epidemic.
Oh, that's gold.
There's a few redheads. They could have enlisted the guy that plays Ron Weasley or something from Harry Potter. They could have got a few of them to be their
Julia
spokespeople.
Gillard in
Well,
Exile, she could have gone
a
over.
new job for her now. She could lead the
she could be the leader.
anti-ginger
I want to see
discrimination
Ron
parade.
Weasley leading that.
I
That
love
would have
that.
been gold. Or Ron and Jules together. They would have hand in hand. Would have been delicious.
Very beautiful.
Well, Hermione's almost got a tinge of the ginge, and they ended up, at the end of Harry Potter. It could have been the two of them leading the parade.
With the ginger
Ginger the
babies.
ginge.
Oh, we love the gingers. Now, throwing back to some of the events that were happening with Brisbane Fair Day, the Brisbane Pride Festival, they've got the Painted Faces exhibition, which is really interesting, which is coming up on September 19th. And that's where they've got, I think it's like 30 drag queens from Brisbane, and they've done double paintings of them, one of them in boys and one of them
that
in
would be
drag.
awesome.
That is always so cool to
Yeah.
see, because sometimes you just can't believe it's the same person.
Exactly.
I meet them out of costume, and I'm like, really?
Well, we had Martini, and then
Yes.
someone walked into the room post-production.
Yeah,
I'm thinking,
Marty.
who's this walking in? I'm like, oh, right.
Yes.
Had
It's
no
lovely.
idea.
Now, are you guys going along to any of the events for Fair Day? Like the gala opening night on August 30?
We usually go as an organisation, don't we?
Yeah.
A few of us get together, so it's-
QPP are also having a open day in our offices on the 20th of September, which is the day before the Fair Day.
Excellent.
Right.
So we'll just be having a barbecue and open for the whole community to come in and see what we do and meet
great.
see who we are.
Will there be vegetarian sausages?
There will be.
Oh,
Yes,
look
we
at
have
that.
vegetarian staff,
I'll-
so they have to be.
That's awesome. I will
we're all
also swing by.
inclusive. We even encourage
You
gingers.
did say all minority groups, the vegans.
Make sure you've got a
welcome.
couple of pieces of steak. Just to counteract the vegetarian sausages.
Yeah, well, I
I'll
think
have
it's
extra
almost
sausage.
time that we need to move into the quick six with our guests.
We do
okay.
indeed. Now, have you seen the Quick Six before?
No,
I
I've been
haven't,
told though.
Okay, so it's very simple. There are 6 questions. You have to answer straight away first thing that comes to your mind. No, none of this umming and ahhing in the story time, okay?
Okay,
All right, cool. Very quickly. Boxers or briefs?
briefs.
Briefs. Excellent. Favourite childhood cartoon?
Oh, go to him.
Batman.
Oh, Batman.
No, don't know. Can't think.
Okay.
I was going to say movies or the theatre.
Theatre.
Movies?
And, hot or cold?
Cold.
Okay, first job.
First job. Oh, first job was on a milk run.
Milk run?
Yep.
I was in a law firm. Yeah, just a junior.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And favourite guilty pop song pleasure?
Oh, that would have to be Kate Bush.
Yeah. Good times.
Guilty pop song. I'll probably have to go for some Britney Spears, I guess.
Which one?
Quietly judging you.
I don't know, any of them.
Any?
Fantastic. Well,
I feel we
thank
know
you
you
very
all
much.
already.
Yeah, as we said, we're quietly judging you. But thank you so much for joining us. It's been lovely. Thanks very much to Phil and Scott from Queensland Positive People, and thank you very much to all of our viewers. So we'll have all the details of the organisation, and you said you've got an open day coming up that we'll put on our Facebook page, and we'll make sure we're tweeting about it. But that's really all we have time for now. So thank you very much. I'm Matthew Bowe.
I'm Kate Mackey.
And I'm Michael James.
See you next week.